Going in, knowing about all the negative reaction towards this movie, I feel like a lot of people are upset because it, for lack of a better phrase, subverted expectations.
Oh, bro.
I think a lot of people went into this movie thinking it was going to be just up in the ante from the first movie, because the first movie, as far as if you know Joker as a comic book character, was pretty tame, albeit this franchise is set in a more realistic world. But Joker just killing like five people and the way he did do it in the first movie definitely was a little bit more tame than the bombastic stuff he was doing in The Dark Knight or Batman 89. So I believe a lot of people were thinking that Joaquin Phoenix's Joker was going to be just up in the ante per movie. And we're thinking maybe this movie, okay, he's going to do something crazy on a bigger scale, like blowing up the courtroom or some shit like that. I'm just gonna go out and say I'm just gonna speak the spoilers. So the spoilers have a lot to do with what I believe about the movie. I find it very interesting that Todd Phillips kind of just went the other direction, and I can't lie. I gotta give it to him. I have got to give it to him, because a lot of the times, franchise will just try and give the fans what they want. But what Todd decided to do was, where in the first movie, a lot of people believed that in the bathroom scene where Arthur's dancing and he turns around, that is his beginning transformation of turning into the Joker. And in this movie, we see that after Arthur was done dancing, he actually washes his face off and looks up in the mirror like, what the fuck did I just do? Leading us into believing that no, Arthur never had this full character transformation into the Joker. The Joker is not a new personality that a lot of people were believing him to be from the first movie. And the movie kind of plays on that theme of Arthur becoming the Joker, as in the Joker is a new person. He's no longer Arthur Fleck, he's now the Joker, where his defense attorney is basically trying to plead his case, saying, no, that wasn't Arthur Fleck, that was the Joker. The Joker is completely different from Arthur and stuff like that. The Joker has basically become a martyr. And we saw a bit of that towards the end of the first movie. Of course, we saw them break him out of the cop car after he killed Murray. We saw him on the train, people dressing up in clown masks, people dressing up as Joker. And we saw that it looks like Arthur was very much enjoying that attention. Well, in this movie, it is shown to us that Arthur bit on a little bit more than he could chew. So he personally doesn't believe that he is able to take on the reins of this icon that the public was viewing him as. And that kind of also plays into what Lady Gaga's character Harley Quinn is in this movie as well. She's basically romanticizing Joker, not Arthur Fleck. And Arthur's whole thing from the first movie carries on into this movie, that nobody is noticing him. And sadly, in this movie as well, nobody is noticing Arthur. They're only caring about Joker and the Joker's crimes and stuff like that. So even in this movie, Arthur is still having that internal turmoil that he had in the first movie. There's a scene after he has his little courtroom rant where they're bringing him back to his cell, and Arthur feels on top of the world and like he's untouchable, and then the guards, they ruffle him up a bit and throw him inside of his cell. And that's where he's reflecting on the night where he killed those 3 Wall Street guys on the train. And like I said earlier, that scene shows us that he's washing his face off, and he's like, oh my God, like, yeah, I'm just Arthur. I'm Arthur Fleck at the end of the day. I'm not the Joker. And the next scene, we have Arthur in the courtroom about to have his closing statement, and he goes up to the jurors, and he's basically like, look, I was going to come in here and try and throw on the show like I'm this big caricature or whatever of the Joker. But at the end of the day, I'm not what these guys want me to be. I'm just a guy. You know, I just want all this shit to be over with. I feel like that's what a lot of people are having a problem with, because they were expecting this Joker to just go up the ante, like I said earlier. But instead, Todd Phillips took it another direction and was like, no, this is just a guy. Like this guy didn't want any of this publicity. He literally had a bad day. You could kind of see it from a mile away, but Harley Quinn basically abandons him at the end of this movie because she was in love with the Joker, and no one cares about Arthur Fleck at the end of the day. And at the end of the movie, we have the guards telling Arthur that somebody is coming to visit him. He walks out into a hallway. Inmate walks up to him who idolizes the Joker. They don't idolize Arthur Fleck. The Joker is the physical representation of these people just wanting to let loose and just go crazy and rampant. And this inmate walks up to Arthur and is telling him a little knock joke about what happens when a real psychopath walks in front of his idol and he sees his idol is just a washed up phony, basically. And then he stabs Arthur and kills him. I feel like what Todd is kind of leaving it up to be, not knowing if there's going to be a Joker 3. It definitely doesn't seem like there's going to be a Joker 3, especially after the critical reception of this movie. But it's leading up for the audience to interpret that, okay, yeah, Arthur may have started it, but the character Joker can be embodied by a number of psychotic people in this universe. For example, there's literally a guy who breaks him out of the courtroom, just as insane as Harley Quinn, as all the other inmates who idolize the character Joker as the martyr, who can do like incredibly dangerous things. They set off a car bomb to break this guy out, killing who knows how many people in that courtroom. And the guy at the end who ultimately kills Arthur is very much of a parody of what we believe Joker to be, the very psychotic, always laughing, twitchy, evil smile. That guy looks like comic accurate Joker. And at the end of the movie, you can also see him in the background while we're zooming in on Arthur, that he's like cutting up his face and like getting like a carving of what looks like to be a permanent smile, like how Heath Ledger's Joker it was in The Dark Knight. And, you know, it can be left up for Todd to come back and revisit this franchise and make that guy the quote-unquote real Joker. But I just feel like a lot of people are not liking this movie because it's not what they wanted. I hate the phrase subvert your expectations. When that was coming out with The Last Jedi about Luke Skywalker, I absolutely despise people saying that shit. I'm going to come off as a hypocrite because I actually enjoyed the way it was handled in this movie. To begin with, should Joker have even gotten a sequel? No. It definitely shouldn't have. Joker 1 should have been just a one-off movie. All the uproar and praise that Todd was getting and it being like the highest rated R-rated film or superhero film of all time, at least at the time. I feel like a lot of that just it's too ambitious to follow up. It's too much of expectations for Todd to meet. So he just decided to do his own story. When you have a director who wants to just, you know, make his own story, or, you know, just a team who comes together and is like, okay, yeah, well, they're expecting us to, you know, keep this franchise going for another 15 years, like the fucking MCU. For them to actually go off and be like, well, to bring it back down to scale and be realistic, how would a guy react if he just had a bad day and now he's a martyr for all the psychos in the world? And I actually have to applaud them for doing the story that they wanted to do. I'm not mad at it at all. But yeah, that's just what I'm thinking about the Joker 2. I don't think Joker 2 deserves the hate. If you go into it with an open mind, not expecting it to up the ante like how so many superhero sequels do, or comic book movies in general do, then I don't think you're going to leave disappointed. I think you're going to leave like, okay, well, feels like it's kind of completed. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below.
Sometimes you get what you fucking deserve. Sometimes you don't get what you fucking deserve.